Hello, everyone, and welcome to Painless Universal, a conversation with myself and Welsh. Hi, today I'll be talking to Char. I'm excited to talk to her because she's just going to tell us a story, and a story that really sinks deep with so many people who are going through what she's been through, and how she's overcome those challenges. Meet Char. Everyone, welcome again to Painless Universal, a conversation with myself and Welsh. I'm joined with the gorgeous Char. Thank you so much for joining me. I mean, I know you were like, oh, and what do you want from me? I just want your story because it's absolutely great. You don't understand. So many people are in your shoes right now, and they are absolutely looking for some people like you to keep sharing that story. And I've been asked why am I sharing stories, because you see so many negative stories out there. We never see stories of positivity, stories that inspire, stories that give us hope, stories that gives us joy, all that kind of stuff.
This is why I love you.
I
Hope,
saw
joy.
you. I saw you and I thought, she's the perfect person I have to speak to. Thank you. And could you tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive into the whole situation?
Absolutely. Well, I think it's important for me now I've been doing all this work of unlearning my whole life
Yeah.
and getting rid of these labels, but I think I'm at a point now where I really want to embrace my labels. So I just start by saying I'm a Black and Indian mixed lesbian autistic woman. I'm a life coach and a spiritual advisor. I'm a facilitator and coach. I run workshops and I'm a dog owner. She's just really excited right now. I think she was kind of being my cheerleader in the background.
Yeah, they're cheering on because you're describing yourself. So they are absolutely cheering you on. That's
Um,
amazing.
but what's really important to me at the moment is the sort of work that I'm doing in the community. So I work with UK Black Pride, which is an organisation that helps queer people of colour in their journey, coming out and dealing with their families, which can be quite difficult just because of cultural views, etc. And I'm also really working hard to support charities like AKT, which support homeless youth across the UK. So I'm really trying to channel my energy into giving back to the community at the moment.
You know, that's really, really amazing. What you're doing, especially for the community. I like the way you defined yourself, actually. That is something I started to do myself as well. I used to never, I just saw myself as just, who are you? Anne, do you have a problem with it? I'm Anne. But now I've started to embrace who I am, whether you like it or not, just accept it. Or I am Anne, I am a girl, I am a woman, I am whatever, whatever you want me to be, I'm happy. Whatever you see me as, I am it. And I'm not ashamed of any of those labels anymore. Being called the Black woman, disability, you know, person. If that's what you see me as, then that's what I am. I just love that. And I love what you do because the work you do is amazing, especially in culture. But this brings me to my question, because I really saw this post and I was touched by it. And so surprising, I looked at the dates. Is a tweet you did in 2011, right? You
Okay.
said, I just came out to my mom properly today, and she accepts me and loves me just the same. After years of being scared and worried, it is finally all out. It's finally all okay. Massive weight off my shoulders and so happy. Just wanted to share that with the world. And this was in 2011. And you reposted that on your Instagram post not too long ago. I think just couple of days ago. Why did you decide to reshare that particular
Because
message?
it really has taken me those 9 years. And there's so much, because it's Pride season, there's so much about coming out and accepting yourself and being your authentic self and all these great buzzwords, which are really empowering. But
Mm.
I just wanted to remind people that on social media, having this platform, being an influencer, if you like, I'm not really sure how I feel about that term,
Mm.
but often people compare their journey to mine. And I just wanted to share that part of my journey and say, this was 9 years ago. It's taken me 9 years to become the woman that I am today.
Mm.
And that was a moment of real pride for me.
Mm.
pride is so many things to so many different people. But for me, my whole agenda, my whole life has been about making my mum proud. I'm a real family person. So when I talk about pride, I think about my mother, I think about my grandmother, I think about my family. And when I want to celebrate pride, it's that acceptance, because that acceptance from her really helped me to accept who I was as well.
That is true. And could you remember that day when you went up to your mum to tell her, Mum, I have something to tell you? How, just could you tell us that story?
So I decided to catch the bus to the town centre where she works. My mum's an incredible woman. She is a manager for social services, so she works on the front line of child protection, and she is, really passionate about her work, and she often works late.
Mm.
So this particular day she had to work late, so I thought I'll get on the bus and meet her when she finishes work, and then come back home with her, and on the journey home I'll tell her. And at the time I was really questioning my sexuality. I wasn't a lesbian, I decided that I was bisexual. So I met my mum and I sat down with her and I said, I want to tell you something, and I hope that you still love me. And she just said, oh, I love you for who you are. I think initially my mum's Indian, a strong Indian woman, and I think culturally she
Yeah.
was worried that I wouldn't be accepted. My dad's black, and back in the early 90s, their relationship in itself, being an interracial couple, was something that, caused them a few challenges. So I think from that perspective, she was worried that I might encounter the same kinds of challenges or not be accepted. But ultimately, she wanted me to be whole. She wanted me to be loved and fulfilled regardless. And so that's why I was so happy. That's what I really needed. That I think often we look outside of ourselves for validation, for that nod of approval. And there's nothing could have meant more to me at that time than getting that nod from the woman who is my role model, my idol.
As anyone listening right now would be asking themselves, how do you know when it's right time to tell your family or your close one that you want to come out? When do you know it's the right time?
Well, I think first and foremost, you have to make sure that it's safe, because I know you have people that follow you all over the world, and there's still around 70 countries where being gay is not, is against the law, and you can be, beaten, imprisoned. But I think for me, everything that I do is this idea of being spiritually logical. So it's about aligning yourself with how you feel within, and then taking the steps that move you to that moment that gets you without or externally. So for me, it's about accepting within yourself first. Often we ask others to accept things about us that we don't actually accept within ourselves. So number one, you have to feel ready and whole and complete and sure that that's who you are. I think set yourself the intention of giving the other person compassion. It might have taken you years to accept your sexuality, so don't expect your friends or your family to just understand like that. Give them the compassion that you expect from them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think pick your moment. Fairy Liquid are doing a great campaign where they're sponsoring AKT charity at the moment, where they're encouraging people to do the washing up and have those conversations. It doesn't have to be a dramatic, gay, glitter-filled entrance. It's a really authentic expression of who you are. And ultimately, I would hope that your family want to embrace your truth. So celebrate yourself, celebrate that you've discovered that part of yourself, and try and have a conversation that's real in a loving way.
Wow. You did a YouTube on your YouTube channel, something to talk about decide.
Did I?
Yeah,
That must have been years. So, I did a YouTube challenge, didn't
yeah,
I?
yeah. No, you said something about, can you explaining the word decide? I thought, wow, that she put meaning into words. I've never thought about words in that way. And you started going into explaining decide, because I think with coming out. You need to, it's almost like you need to decide. Why that word decide? And why does it stand out to you?
So for me, as a coach,
Mm.
a lot of the things that I discuss are around people having to make decisions, and there's a difference between a decision and a choice, and this is where there's a disparity. So a choice is, do you want Coke or Pepsi? Either. A decision holds more premise and more power. So one of the things that's a special interest of mine, because I am a recently diagnosed autistic person, and one of my special interests is etymology in words. So the word decide was really powerful to me when I looked into what it meant. So if you cut the word up, if you cut it into D and then side, and you look at the word side,
Yeah.
we know about sides. We know about homicides, to kill someone, pesticides, kill a pest. There's all kinds of different, suicide, to kill yourself.
Mm.
And it means to ending, it's the ending, it's off. And D means cut. So when we put the word D and side together, it means cut off. And when we make a decision, we cut off any other option. So it's not just a choice between one thing or the other. It's the only thing, and we do only the things that add us to or aid us in getting towards our goal. There are no other options. So once you make a decision, it's a commitment to do only the things that bring you closer to wherever it is you're trying to get to.
Wow.
I love that word.
It now brings so much meaning to me. I've never looked at it that way. I've always looked at it, just decide, yeah, make a choice here. But I've never looked at it that deep. And I thank you so much for elaborating on that. It's now 2020. A lot of people will think things have changed. You made that statement in 2011. In that time, what are the challenges? Are they still challenges you face today as who you are?
Absolutely. I think for me, the challenges have only become more apparent because I've embraced myself more. You'll understand as a Black woman the notion of censoring yourself, hiding yourself, acting in a certain way in a certain environment. And it's the same with sexuality. There are spaces where I don't want to be the lesbian, and I have the privilege that not everybody automatically assumes that I'm a lesbian. I'm not saying that's everyone's experience, but that is mine. So for me, the more out and proud I've become, the more oppression I've experienced, the more looks. You know, I would never, 5 years ago, I would never have walked down the road holding hands with my partner. Whereas now, you know, I date an international gorgeous model, and I'll proudly, you know, stroll down the road with her holding hands, but we still get those looks. We still get that, you know, to worry if we hold hands around, you know, small children in public. And that's not a worry that a heterosexual couple would have to have. It was only, I think, last year when 2 lesbians were brutally attacked on the tube and trying to be forced to kiss. There's a lot of sexualization around being a lesbian as well. So the more out I've become, the more apparent it's been to me.
Oh, I see what you mean, because it's true. The more in people's place you are, the more they feel the right that they could give a judgment towards who you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah. What advice would you give as you're a mentor, you do this daily, an African family where, you know, in some parts of Africa is still not accepted to be, you know, to even come out and say, tell anyone. I know I've had phone calls, and a business friend of mine was gay, and they said to me, if I'm going to have a conference call, because he's a man, and you know, he sounds very girly. So they said, if he's going to speak to this person, could he change voice for that? And you know, you see all sorts of things being happening around the world. What advice do you generally tend to give, or where you work? How do you guys advise people going through a very difficult time at the moment? What advice would you say?
I think always put your safety before anything else, because without you, there's no power, there's no nothing. Your existence in itself is beautiful and valid, and your safety comes before anything else. I'd also say find your community. You are not alone. There are so many groups and committees and communities and organisations that are there, full of these beautiful queer people who are living maybe not the same existence as you are, but they'll be able to relate to your story. So reach out and find your community. At UK Black Pride, we call it our chosen family.
Yeah.
And I like to do things in threes. So I think what I'd say is, don't ever shy away from being authentically you when you can. In those moments where you can really stand in your power and stand in your truth and be you, take those moments and flourish, because the more opportunities you take to express exactly who you are, the more confident you'll feel to empower others around you. And that's what we need. Work first on you, go within, and you never go without. So the more empowered you can be, the more wonderful and beautiful you are. And just remember that you're valid.
Wow. I saw another video. You talk about emotion, because I'm sure a lot of everything you might go through, and not yourself in particular, but anyone else, has a lot to do with emotions as well. How do you deal with emotions when they start running high because of so much things you're going through in one day, or so many, when people are throwing so much at you, it just gets a little bit too much. How do you deal with emotions when it comes at you?
So I actually love emotion. I used to be that woman who would say, none of my friends have ever seen me cry. I'm not a crier. I'm stone cold. I'm a badass. I don't cry. And I was really proud of that for a time until I burnt out. And when I burnt out, I went through my part of my awakening, and I realized how much power there is in being an emotional, intuitive being. There is so much power in feeling. And I believe that everything is energy. So when I feel an emotion, I feel it physically. And so do you probably. You probably feel it in the pit of your stomach. We say things like, I've got a younger sibling and she can be quite annoying. And there's a phrase that we say that someone is a pain in the neck.
Mm.
You physically get pains in your neck when you feel stress and tense.
Mm.
When you're about to cry, you get a lump in your throat. Well, I certainly do. My voice quivers. That is energy. That is my physical being showing me that I am a human, feeling, breathing, present person. And that in itself, that thought overrides any damage that an emotion can do. So for me, it's about figuring out where it is in my body, holding on to it, not letting the emotion dictate my action. The worst thing for me is when an emotion moves me to do something that I don't want to do.
Mm.
So emotions are catalysts from memories and experiences. I don't have to be dictated to by those experiences. I can be in the now, and I can choose what to do with my emotion and how to use it. So whenever I feel that stirring, that bubbling of emotion, for me, that's excitement, because that is energy physically manifesting in me, telling me that I am being pulled by the universe to do or think or act or move in a way that I wouldn't have been able to if I hadn't felt.
Wow. And before we get to the final question, and there's so many outcries from various people. Even you might even get some celebrities put in their words saying that they don't believe that people shouldn't have these feelings, because now you've embraced yourself, so you are free as a person to speak about it. What do you say to people like that when they say they don't believe in this, your feelings, what you're feeling, that it's only a phase, that it will go by, it will go past? What would you say to that?
I would say anyone who has an opinion on me needs to reflect on them. Because when people have massive opinions on things that are not their life, it's an issue with them, not me. And I have to remember, because I get opinions thrown at me all of the time, in my comments, in my DMs, in my emails, opinion, 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 opinion. An opinion isn't always fact. An opinion is somebody else's story, and their story is their perception. And their opinion of me does not affect my opinion of me. I love myself more than I love people's opinions of me. I'm unapologetic about that now. So whenever I get these opinions, it's important for me to maybe not absorb them, to maybe not give them attention, because my energy goes where my attention goes. And my energy and my attention needs to go to the people that I'm out here to help. Because if you're not here to help me serve my purpose, I can't give you my energy.
That's a beautiful answer, actually. I can't believe that's the way you put it, because I think if a lot of people see it that way, it's someone's opinion and you shouldn't always absorb it into you, because it's just wasting your own energy that you don't even have that time to waste, because you need to put that energy elsewhere, which is so beautiful. I love the way you answer that. My final question is that there's we're in 2020 and we're looking to the future. What is your hopes for, for people out there and all the queers out there? Some of them are struggling, really, really struggling, because they are not sure of how to come out, how to react in workplace, how the society would take them. They're still very young as well, and they're just really finding out themselves. What is your hope for them for the future?
So my hope and my wish is always, it sounds like Miss World, but it's always for peace. And I'll tell you quickly why. I'm not particularly religious now, but I am spiritual. But I was religious because I was brought up in church. And my favourite part of being in church was, partway through the service, the minister would say, to spread the peace. And we would shake hands with the person next to you, and you'd go and shake hands with as many people as you could. And I used to play this game and try and give out as much peace as possible, because you'd say, may the peace of the Lord be with you and peace be with you. And I would go and shake the oldest person's hand, the youngest person's hand. And that was a real sense of solidarity. And everything that I work towards is for this sense of inclusion, acceptance, and solidarity. So my real wish is that people really find peace within themselves so that they can go and share it with somebody else.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jeff, for joining me on my conversation.
Thanks for having me, and you look fabulous. Always so flawless. I need to hook up with you. You need to take me shopping.
I would take you any day shopping. Any day you're ready. We should just make a date and just go hang out.
As soon as the lockdown's over.
I know.